Good morning, children. This is part 10 of the chapter Admission of a Partner. In the previous part 9, we discussed about specific reserve, that is workmen compensation reserve, and its four cases. So in this part, in this video, we are going to discuss practical questions on such cases of workmen compensation reserve to make it more clear. Questions on workmen compensation reserve with solutions. Question number 1. X and Y are partners in a firm. On 1st April 2017, they admitted Z as a partner and new profit sharing ratio is agreed at 3:2:1. Their balance sheet disclosed workmen compensation reserve amounting to rupees 1 lakh on this date. Show the accounting treatment if claim for workmen compensation is estimated as rupees 1,20,000 and case 2 if the claim for workmen compensation is estimated at rupees 90,000. So in this case, when the new partner Z is admitted on 1st April 2017, at that time there was a workmen compensation reserve of rupees 1 lakh. And you have to show the entry or the accounting treatment in two cases. Case number 1, when the claim is estimated to be 1,20,000. That means the claim is more than the reserve. So as discussed in the previous video, when the claim is more than the workmen compensation reserve or WCR, what we will do is we will transfer the entire amount of total amount of claim to provision for workmen compensation claim account. We will debit the entire amount of reserve and the excess of claim over the reserve, that is in this case 20,000, will be debited to revaluation account. So the entry in this case will be, as you can see here, 2017 April 1, 1st April, case number 1, the entry will be workmen compensation reserve account debited 1 lakh, that is with the entire amount of reserve because claim is more than the reserve. Then revaluation account debited 20,000, with that is with the excess of claim over the reserve. To provision for workmen compensation claim account, we will credit this claim account with the total amount of claim to be met, that is 1,20,000. And this 20,000 of excess liability which we had to debit to revaluation account will be debited to partners capital, to old partners capital, as it is a part of loss. It will be distributed in the old ratio. So the second entry for distributing such loss will be excess capital account debited, wise capital account debited to revaluation account 20,000, and this 20,000 we have to distribute among the old partners in the old ratio. And since in this question there was no old ratio given, therefore section 13 applies and we will treat it to be distributed in the equal ratio, that is 1:1. Then case number 2, when the claim for workmen compensation is estimated at rupees 90,000, that means the amount of claim is less than the amount of reserve. So in this case what we will have to do is, as you can see the case number 2 journal entry, the entire amount of reserve will be debited. Workmen compensation reserve account debited with 1 lakh, and that part of this reserve which is to be used for claim will be transferred and credited to provision for workmen compensation claim account, that is 90,000, and the surplus which is left after meeting the claim, if 90,000 is the claim and 1 lakh is the reserve, then the surplus is 10,000. So this surplus of 10,000 will be distributed among the old partners, that is excess capital account and to wise capital account in the old ratio, that is in our case equal, that is 1:1. So the ultimately final entry will be workmen compensation reserve account debited 1 lakh to provision for workmen compensation claim account with the amount of claim, to excess capital account and to wise capital account with 5,000 each, because we have distributed the surplus of 10,000 in the old ratio, that is 1:1. 1. So the narration can be surplus workmen compensation reserve credited to old partners' capital accounts in their old profit sharing ratio. Question number 2. A, B and C are partners sharing profits in 2:2:1. On 1st April 2017, they admitted Z for 1/4 share. On the date of admission, the following items appeared in their balance sheet. General reserve 1,50,000. General reserve is a UDP, undistributed profit and reserve. Workmen compensation reserve 40,000. Again, it is a part of reserve. Profit and loss account credit balance. It is an undistributed profit 60,000. Advertisement suspense account debit balance. Even if the debit balance was not given, advertisement suspense was given, then too it was treated. It will be treated as accumulated losses 25,000. You have to pass the necessary journal entries. So in this case, you are given accumulated profit, accumulated loss, and reserves. So at the time of admission, as we have already discussed, all the undistributed profit or reserves or accumulated losses have to be transferred to old partners' capital or current account in the old ratio. So first let us discuss one thing, that there is workmen compensation reserve which you have to adjust according to the claim. But in this question, no information is given regarding the claim. That means there was no claim. We assume that there was no claim, and therefore case 1 of workmen compensation reserve applies here. That means the entire amount of workmen compensation reserve is treated as surplus and will be transferred to old partners' capital or current account. So general reserve is a reserve which will be transferred to old partners' capital. Workmen compensation reserve will be transferred to old partners' capital, and profit and loss account credited, or the credit balance is undistributed profit. It will also be transferred to old partners' capital or current account in the old ratio. But advertisement suspense account is an undistributed loss, so the entry will be different. No doubt all these have to be given to the old partners in the old ratio. So let us have a look at the solution, the journal entry. On the date of admission, that is 1st April 2017, general reserve account debited 1,50,000, because reserve is a credit balance and when we are writing it off, it will be debited. Workmen compensation reserve account debited 40,000. Again with the same logic, reserve carries a credit balance and when we are distributing it, it will carry an opposite, that is the debit balance. Profit and loss account credit balance was given to you. That means it was a profit. So when we are distributing it, it will carry an opposite, that is the debit balance. And all these three reserves and profits will be distributed among the old partners, all the old partners. So to A's capital account, to B's capital account, and to C's capital account in the old ratio. So A will be getting 1 lakh out of these three reserves and profits. B will be getting 1 lakh out of these three reserves and profit, and C will be getting 50,000 out of these three reserves and profit in their old ratio, that is 2:2:1. The narration can be accumulated profits transferred in the old ratio. The second entry is for writing off the accumulated loss, that is advertisement suspense account. So since it is an accumulated loss and when we are giving the loss to the partners, their capital balance decreases. That means the liability decreases. Therefore, it carries a debit balance. So therefore, the partner's capital account will be debited. Entry for writing off this loss will be A's capital account debited, B's capital account debited, and C's capital account debited to advertisement suspense account 25,000, and this 25,000 of advertisement suspense account will be written off among the old partners in the old ratio, that is 2:2:1. That means 10,000 will be debited to A's capital account and B's capital account also, and 5,000 will be debited to C's capital account. The narration can be advertisement suspense transferred in the old ratio. So I hope these two questions and the solution along with the journal entries are clear to you, children. This is the assignment based on this part, these questions. You have to answer the following questions in your register. You have to redo question number 1. You have to redo the questions taught in this video. 2 questions have been discussed here. You have to go through the questions and you have to do it again in your register on your own. And question number 2, you have to solve practical question number 43 from the chapter Admission of a Partner of the Accounts book by D.K. Goel, volume 1. So before solving practical question number 43, don't forget to revise part 9, that is the cases of workmen compensation reserve, and this part 10. It will help you in solving practical question number 43. And again I am repeating, children, keep on revising all the parts, all the entries, all the formulas, because every topic in this partnership unit are interconnected, are connected to each other. And one more thing, since it is a practical subject, so as many questions as you can practice, it will help you in getting mastered over the topics and fetching you good marks. Thank you, children. Take care.